What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some more RPG horror stories. I'm making it difficult for editor Morrow to edit because he's gonna have to track me everywhere I go. Welcome everybody to 2024. Finally, the year of 2023 is over, and I gotta be honest, it has been a really crap year for me. Too many traumas and terrible things happen, and honestly, the year was so bad, it just kept kicking me down like a can down the road all the way till the new year, dude. All the way till the new year. It sucks. But anyway, we're here with some RPG horror stories. It's a new year, it's a new start, it's a new day for RPG cringe. My experience with a World of Darkness problem player. Hey Morrow, thanks for taking the interest in my final session with a consistent toxic player. The following takes place around 4 years ago, so some details might be off, but I'll do my best to recap what I can. The system is Werewolf the Apocalypse, WTA. Our important cast is me playing a Get of Fenris, storyteller with their own Silver Fang storyteller PC, nothing egregious, just our quest giver, and emergency combat aid. And the problem player, Julia, we'll go with that, with a Black Fury. There's 2 other players present, but they were not off issue in this experience. Our group meets up for what's likely the first session in a mid-long-term campaign. We spend a good 30 minutes to 1 hour creating our characters and letting storyteller build up a plot for us to get together. Our individual Garu werewolves are contacted and ushered to meet for the purposes of gathering as a pack under a newly promoted rank 2, the storyteller PC. My problem with Julia began almost right off the gate. Wanted to build some good rapport among the group, I offered a hello to Julia's character, whom very politely dismisses my character with an insult, opting to chat with the other female characters, expected from a Fury, I suppose. Also, I don't know anything about like Furies or any sort of like Werewolf the Apocalypse lore and stuff, so I'm just gonna read along and hope I get the context for things. The main event arrives when our gracious rank 2 finally arrives to meet us personally. Julia addresses her when asked if we have questions. If you're our rank 2, what's a rank 1? I suppose that'll be one of you. You decide among yourselves who is best suited to lead on missions. I think we should decide now, so we can establish a leader and follow dynamic early. Wouldn't want fighting over the position later. Cue some discussion between their characters and mine, highlighting how we haven't even experienced a group dynamic to know who can best lead. Julie insists we take a pack vote, asking our rank 2 to break a possible tie. Imagine both our surprise when players 3 and 4 vote in my favor, noting that earlier between character roleplay having them prefer me over them. If that is decided, I'll leave you to work out anything else. Julia cutting him off. Lady Alpha, I hereby contest him for leadership. Me out of character. Are you kidding me? We hardly started. Julia out of character. My character has no reason to believe you are fit to lead, given how rude you've been to her. I tried being nice, you're the one who insulted mine. If you knew her backstory, you'd understand why she can't trust men and would never follow their orders. Oh yeah, sorry about that. The OP was supposed to read your backstory. What is the general premise? What is y'all general premise on like knowing the backstory ahead of time? I'm personally under the impression of if it's your character's backstory, eventually your character, if they choose to divulge it to mine, you will do so at your pace and your character will do so at their pace. But until then, I have no way to understand how your character like, you know, is going to know. So going by like, with my backstory, blah 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 blah, so therefore it has to be blah blah blah. It just, why would my character know anything about your character's backstory if they never even talked, you know? And it feels like this is the issue right now with Julie's character, because they're saying with my backstory, blah 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 blah, so therefore blah blah blah. Are we supposed to know ahead of time? Is that a prerequisite? At this point, storyteller abruptly calls the session, mostly due to time crunch and the obvious conflict growing, saying we'll come back to this when schedules are open. No surprise that it never does. Possibly for the best, as it came to light that Julia's plan for when, if not her character beat mine, was to coup de grace him as an example to the pack what happens to disobedient pups. As for that backstory that justifies her phobia of men, she was the youngest daughter of a malicious crime boss with 4 abusive older brothers, disowned and left to die after the death of her mother. So their proposed plotline was tracking down and killing her family one by one in a one-woman crusade to take over the family business for herself. ready to kill any man that got in her way. I get hating your family, but hating all men because of that's misinterest, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of misinterest. Imagine, let's say, for example, it was a different way around, right? It was a bunch of abusive women that abused a guy who was kicked out because their father basically died and therefore they were excommunicated. And now that guy just hates all women. And now the whole story is, I hate women, woman here, bam, struck down. That'd be really fucked up. It's fucked up in most ways that you see it, but I mean, some people can be kind of blind to that if it was like, you know, the other way around. If the tables have if the turn have tables, specific hatred is a lot more interesting. Generalized hatred of somebody because they are a this or a that, it's kind of lame, boring, and a little bit messed up. So yeah, I could see why that could be a problem, major problem. Also, trying to like kill off a character behind the back and stuff, that's not exactly a good like cooperative behavior. I don't know if Werewolf the Apocalypse is supposed to be like a PvP oriented game or not. I'm assuming it's not. If it is, I guess it's par for the course, but if it's not, that's not a good friendly player behavior. Not one non-World of Darkness example why any of this behavior doesn't surprise me. The default D&D character is a drow cleric who exclusively one-heal male party members and declares non-lethal attacks on visibly feminine enemies. Right to edit note, I apologize for any grammar or format errors you find. Feel free to make any adjustments for the sake of the video script. P.S. Give Mary my regards. Best druid say to your girl. I will, but most likely she's gonna watch this video, so there it is. Also, I completely relate to like this kind of a character. I've seen this character, not in D&D, but of all things, in VR chat roleplays. This one girl wanted to play a drow in a VR chat roleplay, and she played the stereotypical drow girl that's like matriarchal and looks down on men and thinks men are incompetent, kind of to the point where it went abusive and aggressive, both in character and out of character. The best way I can put the character is that the character was unhinged. The player playing the character, kind of rightfully so as well. It was a little bit of a hit or miss. I'm not saying you shouldn't play somebody that has like a distrust in men. If you have a character that has a very matriarchal kind of haughty look to it, like a traditional drow would, where you think most men would be incompetent for the job and, you know, girl boss kind of stuff, play a drow that's like, you know, oh men, what can you do, stinky men? But then eventually, like as you play with a party and you get trust and bonds, you start seeing, hey, the dudes in our party are very competent and I can trust them. But also let people know out of character, right? To the players, let them know ahead of time. So my character is gonna start a little bit but as they grow and interact with the party, I want them to become more bonded and more friendly and stuff. If you just let people know out of character that like that's just what to expect for the time being, then it's fine. Because I mean, if you just surprise everybody and your character comes out being a dickhead, guess what happens? Everybody's gonna see your character as a dickhead. And I don't guarantee that you're gonna have a great time getting along with other people, because everybody's gonna think, oh, this player is just unhinged. Instead of being like, it's the character that's unhinged, but the player is actually really nice. Anyway, thank you, Byron, for a story submission. Get to the next story for today. Everyone sucks here. Family game nights. Hello, Morrow, long-time listener, first time submitting. Here's an exclusive. Not even the illustrious Reddit knows this dastardly tale of dysfunctional family bonding. I do feel kind of special. I get to see this before Reddit can. I'm gonna let you guess who I am until the end. While this story isn't the worst that's ever been, it's contributed to factors why I don't play D&D with my family often anymore. The cast: adversarial DM, adverse for short, greedy player, greedy, cheater, cheater, lol, playing a scrappy human wizard, mom, the only good one in the story, and we have enough problem mothers out there. The adventure begins when Greedy finds an old character sheet. He notices this fighter, Dwarven, doesn't have his beloved legendary Hammer of Thunderbolts written on it. Well, if it's not written down, you don't have it. We'll think he's joking. He's joking, right? Cue the deadpan stare meme, and thus began our unintentionally evil campaign, with the intro or trigger or demonetization warnings, kidnapping a sick child, minor body horror-ish elements, and just a crap ton of violence. Also, existential dread. Oh, there's no way to stop existential dread. Coming for us all along. It's there. Behind you. Turn around. Look, it's there. Oh, it went away. Anyway, back to the story. It begins with a Geas spell. I hope I pronounce it right. Before we even know what this assignment is, a wizard puts us under a Geas. Geas? 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 Like Code Geass? Look it up. There's got to be a long story anyway. You place a magical command on a creature that you can see within range, forcing it to carry out some service or refrain from some action or course of activity as you decide. If the creature can understand you, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you for the duration. Gotcha. Okay. So, Super Sus Wizard tells us we need to find a legendary evil staff, made of evil and spookiness. And how do we find the staff, you might ask? I'm so glad he did. We need to kidnap a princess. Not just any princess, a child princess. Not just any child princess, but a child princess who carries around a super heavy device fueled by hard to find components. Oh, and if she touches you, she sucks your life force and grows strong. That becomes relevant later. One would think that smart move would have been to scope out the place, spy master our way around. We're posed as dignitaries after all. One would think we'd want clues, information, a way to negotiate. Nope. First night, that princess is flying out a window. A hireling NPC was sacrificed by a cheater. I think it was some sort of persuasion check, I don't recall. Anyway, after a fire, some death, and one fighting hand down, we successfully heist the princess. Yay! Q Bird Island, a majestic forest realm of mystery and magic. Just kidding, this place sucked. We ended up stranded here because some king was chasing down some little girl, cough cough, hides her behind the giant distinctive medical equipment. We never understood what Adverse was trying to do with us. At some point, there was a sigil that we might have either broken or activated, or maybe we didn't affect it at all. But then came the murders. Crows, eagles, rocks, and every other bird known to man and myth came to us. While we covered in a tiny hut, Greedy got the idea to send the princess out to fight. At first, this went disastrously. She kept getting hit by dive-bombing avians, but these attacks made her strong and angry. Greedy threw his sword out to her, and one by one she was slaying birds. Eventually, even the fighter had to admit that there were too many birds swarming. I don't remember how we escaped that horrible place. I only know that it's still a meme in our family. Along the way, we kept getting confronted by forces who just want to retrieve the princess and see that due justice be done. We stumbled into an island community that wanted to protect their community, and we wrecked their strongest fighter, leaving them all but defenseless. At this point, we just embraced the evil. Cheetah's rolls grew increasingly good, seeming to have constant good luck. Greedy was a bloodthirsty maniac, wanting to do anything to get his item back. Adverse fed into all of it, giving a little guidance to the mysteries we stumbled across. After all of that and so much more, we came to the place where evil staff dwelt. There were armies of many different places and beliefs encroaching on the same spot, so we recruited a temple army, worshipping Athena on our own. Okay, I want to continue the story because this is hella interesting, but can I just say, I don't know maybe what's going on at the table. Maybe there was a lot more chaos and less chemistry, but it sounds like y'all had a really good chemistry. DM is still continuing with the story and just rolling with the punches and coming up with more crazy things, and y'all just rolling with stuff, and it seems like there's a little bit of chemistry there, but I don't know how it was at the table. Like, it's written really well. Maybe the way it's written is a little bit deceptive because, not to say you're trying to like deceive or anything, but you're a really good writer, but in reality the campaign was just a disaster and you're just putting it more eloquently than how it really was. This feels like a crazy, wild campaign in a good way, in a really good way. And by that I don't mean like, you know, child kidnapping is a good thing and how to deal with a bunch of birds was a good thing. I don't know, it's just so chaotic that it might just work. That's like the thought that I have in my head. War is chaos, and that's exactly what we walked into. Cheetah took Princess to chase a spooky staff. Alone. What could possibly go wrong? So while so many were trying to break through the walls of combat, no one could back up Cheetah up. They got closer and closer while Greedy and Mom were protesting, or at least giving Cheetah a hard time. Evil staff came into sight. Cheetah tried to put on brakes, but Princess was not about to stop. Cheetah grabbed the princess and a series of rolls began. Even with good rolls starting out, Adverse was draining life from Cheetah and slowly pulling towards a floating black stick. Eventually, even Cheetah's constant good rolls couldn't offset the penalties. Good lost that day, enabled by short-sightedness and good intentions. I was the cheater. Judge me as you will, but I do think some of my worst habits come to play with my family as well. I can say I'm in remission, haven't found a group with which I vibe well. I make no excuses for my actions. I understand now how failure can be such a gift to a story, and I embrace it as often as possible. I love Chronicles of Darkness' dramatic failure mechanics for that very reason. I love your channel. I hope this Morrow exclusive will get you many much-deserved viewers. Say hi to Sneaky Mary for me. Aw, thank you, and I will. This story is A big ball of chaos, a fun ball of chaos. I mean, obviously from the way it's told. I'm not gonna call you out for cheating or anything because you understand yourself that you cheated mostly because as like a byproduct to dealing with such a rambunctious family, and it was just kind of a way that you maybe cope with the situation, and nobody really caught you with it, and it seemed like it was just a lot to deal with and a lot to go through. But I'm glad you found a good group to play with and stuff, and I hope you're enjoying yourself out there and having fun times. And hey, maybe if you really want to just blow off some steam to have the most chaotic, rambunctious adventure, you could try to get together with your family at least like, once every year or something, as a family bonding, maybe like over Thanksgiving or something if you live in the US. I can imagine that, a Thanksgiving chaos campaign that you play with family for like half a day. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be kind of fun. Find a group that you want to play with. And listen, sometimes playing with family or doing anything with family may not be like the most satisfying thing because people are difficult and complicated. Find a group that you vibe with the most, and even if they're not your family, and just have fun with them. You can find other things to do with your family that isn't TTRPGs. Pretty sure you guys have some sort of a bonding thing you can do. Anyway, Regina, thank you so much for your story submission. On to the next one. How my campaign fizzled after one PvP. Hello Morrow, I'm a casual viewer and enjoy your content. This story I have today, I never thought I would have to tell again, but some new things came up regarding the key players of the tale, so I hope you enjoy. The key people are myself, as the Forever GM, and the players. Minotaur, Half-Orc, Yuan-Ti Pureblood, will be shortened to Yuan-Ti, Dwarf, and Aasimar. In this campaign, it's a homebrew world like you would see in Sword Art Online's first season, but it's ruled by an overlord who is discriminatory against all non-humans, unless they specifically dedicate their lives to worship him. We'll follow the players part of the rebellion to overthrow the overlord, hence the title of the campaign being called Overthrow Overlord. Specifics of how they would overthrow the overlord is not important. Right now the group are in a village, which is the bottom layer, where there is no escape, and had to escape their prison town due to killing one of the enforcers of the overlord. Along the way of the new town, Minotaur asked if he could invite their partner to the server, so I said go ahead. Eladrin did leave, so I could smoothly integrate your partner's character into the world. This partner is Yuan-Ti, a true neutral storm sorcerer. Pay attention to Yuan-Ti, because at the end there's gonna be a twist. I love twists. What a twist! Anyway, back to the story now. Eventually, if you all make it to town, team sets up a camp in a tavern that will be running for a while. They're in the current level of the world. A natural in-character conflict boils between Yuan-Ti, Half-Orc, and Lizardfolk NPC I've running as a rebellion's leader. This is also a session where Dwarf, a necromancer, joins the party, but Aasimar couldn't show up, but promised to be there in a hypothetical next week's game. Wait, hold on, what do you mean by a hypothetical next week's game? Does that mean there was no next week game? Minotaur also invited these two as well, since they sounded interested in the concept after Minotaur told them about our game. Yuan-Ti points out that the group needs more magic weirdos like themselves. Minotaur and Dwarf are not any bumbling oafs who don't know how to handle a team like Lizardfolk NPC and Half-Orc. Half-Orc actually plays his character like a hits stuff hard and eats rotten bread full of maggots. Ugh. I'm guilty of it making me feel uncomfortable sometimes, but if he is having fun and not causing disturbance between the other players out of game, let him have fun. Back to the RP, obviously Half-Orc does not like what Yuan-Ti is saying, and Yuan-Ti demands we battle to determine better leadership. Out of character, ask Half-Orc if he really wants to accept the offer. He doesn't have to if he don't want to. I'm the kind of guy who actually makes sure it's fine between players beforehand, so no unneeded PvP takes place. Half-Orc was fine with this, and I had Lizardfolk NPC back him up, saying that if Yuan-Ti is so confident, then 2 marshals versus 1 spellcaster should not be too hard. Yuan-Ti accepts. Those watching the event outside of town in the woods are Minotaur and a couple of other NPCs part of the rebellion. The fight starts off intense with Half-Orc and I getting good hits on Yuan-Ti before they could work their magic, using Quicken's spell to cast Mage Armor, which triggered his Storm Sorcerer ability to levitate, and then casting Chain Lightning, making him levitate even higher thanks to the Storm Sorcerer ability. This made the marshals have to rely on javelins, since they did not have any range options beside that, or range attacks just missing or deflecting off to the Mage Armor. All the while, Yuan-Ti demands the 2 submit as they are pelted with Chain Lightning's secondary effect. Lizardfolk, being the leader, knows when a battle is lost, so he admits defeat. But Half-Orc doesn't, so he gets finished off with a Chain Lightning. Now, as leader, Yuan-Ti demands Minotaur to use his Lay on Hands on Half-Orc. We all go back to base, ending the session there. Was that fun? Can't you wait to see what happens next? Sadly, something happens. Yuan-Ti tells me directly that they and Minotaur are no longer going to keep up with attending due to IRL things getting in the way. I do my best to maybe find a way to give them another viable time, like Friday night or something, but apparently nothing is gonna work. So I tell the group that both Minotaur and Yuan-Ti left the game, and I'll find a way to work out how the exclusion is going to work. And once you know it, Dwarf and Aasimar just up and leave the server without a word. It's me and Halfork, and we're both stumped what to do next. One thing for sure, 4 out of 5 people leaving means the campaign cannot go on anymore. I can only assume Dwarf and Aasimar only showed up because Minotaur was the one who invited them, and if Minotaur is not there, then why bother? Again, assumptions on my part. You can assume, but I mean, that's pretty accurate. If, let's say, for example, I was invited by a buddy of mine to join this thing, and the buddy of mine is no longer there, I probably want to dip too. Not because I dislike the campaign or whatever I'm doing, or whatever the thing is, it's just my buddy is not there, and I'm a little socially awkward, and I don't know how to make friends really well, so I would probably just dip out and join where my friends are, kind of thing. Unless it was a hobby that I was like so into, then I would stick around, no problem. Couple of months pass, a new campaign was established, but diminished for a TTRPG system I created, because I realized how toxic D&D's core is, thanks to the video that encouraged me that the TTRPG scene should not be Dungeons & Dragons, and supplementaries to it. A new server I joined that my cousin made had Minotaur show up. I have no hard feelings for him and asked him and told him about things. So, how's Yuan-Ti doing? Oh, about that. Yuan-Ti was not real. The one alt account, and I'm not proud of lying to you guys. Wait, what? An alt account? Wait, hold on. Did Minotaur just make out that they have a girlfriend or something, or like a relationship? What? This is the twist I was telling you to keep in mind. You would think I would be upset at him for playing 2 PCs, but that was a long time ago, and I forgave him for it. Is it a red flag that a guy pretends to be 2 people and uses it to play 2 PCs? Probably. Do I not mind it now? No? But if I found out during the campaign, would I have questions and just ask him to pick a character instead of playing 2? Yes. Yeah, I would do the same thing, because a character playing 2 PCs at the same time, I don't know how I'd feel about it, man. Like, I get if it's like for roleplay reasons. You know, you're staying at a tavern and it's 2 of your characters that are chatting, you know, at a table, not actually PvPing or anything like that, but it's like a small RP conversation, like all of you are part of the Adventurers Guild, right? And you just hanging out at a tavern because you're all members of the Adventurers Guild. At a happenstance, seems like somebody wants to sit next to your alt character and your main character and kind of interact. Then I guess you could just have a little bit of fun and playing 2 characters. As long as it doesn't give you sort of mechanical advantage or anything, fun RP stuff I think is fine, but playing 2 characters at the same time, probably not a good idea. Pick and choose between sessions, you know, that kind of thing. I told him about Dwarf and Aasimar, and he was just as shocked when he found out the day he left. Apparently the 2 told Minotaur, and Minotaur was reasonably upset with them as well. I'm still bitter at Dwarf and Aasimar, and I assume Minotaur is still bitter at them as well. Well, you can't force the 2. I mean, if you didn't really get to know them too much, then, you know, you can't really help it. Listen, if my friend was not joining a thing that I probably would not want to join too because awkwardness and stuff. But wow, that's a crazy twist. PvP didn't seem like that was the crux of the issue. I think the crux of the issue was the Minotaur was the Yuan-Ti all along. I was thinking it's gonna be some sort of like a crazy, like a shape changer kind of thing or something like that. I don't know. I guess it was in a way shape changer, IRL shape changer. I'm a puppeteer of the 2 characters to here. Thank you to Egyptian god of Ka for submitting this story. I appreciate it. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.